Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Liquidated damages and penalty clauses are often included in contracts to specify the consequences of a breach, but they serve very different legal purposes. Liquidated damages are pre-agreed sums that genuinely compensate for loss, whereas penalty clauses are designed to punish a breaching party. Courts uphold liquidated damages clauses when they represent a reasonable and genuine pre-estimate of loss. But penalty clauses, being punitive, that means to punish, are void and unenforceable. The key distinction lies in whether the sum stipulated protects a legitimate business interest and is proportionate to the actual or anticipated harm. If a clause imposes an excessive or unconscionable sum that far exceeds the likely loss, it is likely to be struck down as a penalty. Penalty clauses are void under contract law because contract law is based on compensation rather than punishment. Damages must be a genuine pre-estimate of loss rather than a means of imposing punishment. In Singapore, this principle remains relevant, with courts assessing whether the amount stipulated is commercially justifiable or simply excessive. The test for determining whether a clause is a penalty focuses on whether it serves a legitimate purpose or whether it is disproportionately high compared to the loss suffered. If it is excessive, the court will declare it unenforceable. Drafting a liquidated damages clause properly is crucial to ensure it is not mistaken for a penalty. It should be based on a reasonable and genuine pre-estimate of potential loss suffered by the other party, rather than an arbitrary or exaggerated figure. The sum must be commercially justifiable, and different breaches should be considered separately rather than applying a blanket penalty for all breaches. Providing documentation or calculations justifying the stipulated amount can strengthen the enforceability of the clause. If a clause imposes damages vastly exceeding any potential loss, it risks being classified as a penalty clause and struck down. The rationale behind voiding penalty clauses is rooted in fundamental contract law principles and public policy. If penalty clauses were enforceable, stronger parties, such as large corporations, could exploit weaker parties by imposing excessive financial penalties for breaches. This would undermine the fairness and balance of contractual relationships. By voiding penalty clauses, courts ensure that damages serve a compensatory rather than punitive function. The law protects parties from oppressive and unreasonable agreements while still allowing for fair compensation if a contract is breached. The rule against penalty clauses maintains fairness and prevents the abuse of contractual power. However, the courts today adopt a more commercial approach, focusing on whether the clause protects a legitimate interest rather than strictly adhering to outdated tests. This shift acknowledges that businesses may have valid reasons for imposing substantial liquidated damages, provided they are not purely punitive. To ensure enforceability, businesses should obtain legal advice when drafting contracts, carefully document how damages are calculated, and ensure that the clauses serve a legitimate business purpose. Thanks for joining me in this video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.